Oops.
Yeah.
Coops,
Hi,
hello.
everyone.
Marina, hello.
Hey.
Oh, isn't somebody in a good mood today?
Rick,
Hey.
hello. Right, listen, everyone. We might as well get going. There's more people coming in. Oh, they still keep coming in. We'll let them coming in. Then mainly Americans are always a little bit slow. So what I'm going to do, so we've got Kevin joining us again to give us some more information about what he's doing now, because it's all changed. But I'm going to hand it over to Rob. Just make sure I can find Rob. Rob seems to be bouncing up and down on something. Maybe he's on a space.
By the way, can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
Good.
So
This is my bauble.
Rob's bouncing up and down with his bauble. What I'll do is I will hand over to Rob and let him take it away. Rob.
Hey, thanks, Kelvin. So Kevin and I go a long way back. In fact, we met each other probably 5 or 10 years, at least 5 years ago at Konica Minolta when he was working for MGI. And my first question to Kevin is going to be, what's happened since then? Because apparently you've moved on. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah. So first of all, guys, it is so great to see you all. So many friendly faces. And, the reason I haven't been in any of these meetings is because I have one meeting a week that is like on in cement that I can't move. And it's during this time. So I'm trying what I can to change it. But guys, it's really great to see you. And you know what? I have to tell you, like being at D-Scoop, I walked in, I felt like I didn't know anybody. And all of a sudden, the Crown Pub, all the friendly faces, Warren, Joanne, the whole team really, first of all, I got to tell you, it was a really great feeling to be able to hang out with people and meet new people at that show. So thank you very much for the warm welcome.
You're welcome.
And then so Rob, so basically with Rob, it's been a great little journey. We met, I think 2014, 2015. I was with MGI. And the idea was to work with Canada. Canada was like a distributor for MGI before there was the purchase of like the shares, before Konica was even involved inside MGI. So I think the beauty started that we began that experiment to see, hey, can we sell digital embellishment in Canada, and can KM sell it in Canada? Do they know how to do it? And we did some great work on developing the market there. And we kept really a fantastic relationship with the entire Canadian team. Anyways, fast forward to about 3-4 months ago, guys, we decided to close down the MGI USA office. And because basically it's very, I mean, honestly, we were basically doing the same thing that Konica Minolta USA was doing. So it made more sense just to have our team and our guys and girls join their team directly and basically save money that way and be more streamlined. So that's what happened. We closed the MGI USA office and our entire team kind of went over to Konica Minolta. And I decided, with COVID and everything that kind of changed my mindset on how I approach the world, I said, you know what, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something now. I'm going to do something by myself. And I decided to start my own consulting company and marketing agency that really specializes in connecting people to brands using the science of touch. So that's really what I'm doing, guys, today, as I'm working with manufacturers, with printers, and with brands on how to maximize the use of haptics and touchable print and the science and the data behind that to be able to get a better bottom line and get more impact. So it's been fun. It's been a hell of a journey.
So you call your company Tactiful.
Tactiful.
Right? Tactiful. Where'd that come from, and what's it mean to you?
Sure. So it's just actually my 6-year-old came up with it and it kind of just stuck. He was like, Dad, what do you do? It's like, I make tactile varnish, tactile printing. I was talking about He's like, oh, it's tactiful. It's very tactful. Trying to repeat it. I was like, that's a good name. So I kind of stuck with it. But basically, it's between tactile and beautiful. I think it's a nice little hybrid of the two words. And if my 6-year-old can come up with it, that gives a nice little origin story.
Tactiful. Okay.
Yep.
So where is your business operating? Like, where are you working? Is it in Florida? Is it in the US?
Yeah, sure. So, luckily, guys, I've been blessed to work all over the world and meet some really great brochure, Joanne. I love that. Thank you very much. So we actually have partners across the entire world that we're working with. So one of them is Carlo is actually on this call right now, and he's running Latin America for us. Say hi, Carlo. Oh, he's on mute.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for the invite.
Yep. You should
Hello,
really
Carl.
consider joining this meeting. It's an awesome meeting, Carl. So we have people we have Carlo in Mexico. We have my mentor who is in Japan, a Japanese gentleman by the name of Yoshi Ishii, who's actually responsible for really quarterbacking the Konica Minolta MGI merger, if you will. And so now he's running Tactiful for Asia Pacific, and we have Europe coming up in line shortly out of Paris. So, and I'm always looking to continue to work with people. I know I'm actually going to be working with a lot of people on this call, where there are some things that I rather send to close friends and people who are maybe better at certain things than I would be. So I'm open to working with any of you if the right opportunity arises.
So we've moved to like an online selling world. How do you sell tactile print online?
So how do I sell tactile print, or how should companies and brands be selling tactile print?
Well, how do you
online?
use the medium of the web to communicate to people something that's actually tactile? Because we're not meeting so much in person except for D-Scoop, I guess.
So what you're saying is actually, I think it's it's a very important question that you're asking, Rob. The reason I'm saying that is, what is print's, how do you sell print? What is print's purpose today in a world that's increasing going online? So how do I sell, how do brands sell tactile print? Today, there's so many new softwares and a lot of research being done by universities. I'm working with a couple of these researchers on how to recreate a live experience of when you're on Amazon, for example, looking through a product, how to recreate that shelf shout, but via an Amazon stream or feed when you're going through a new product. However, I think one of the important things that we have to talk about, are you guys kind of familiar with like the moments of truth? Have you guys kind of followed that? Are you guys familiar with the moments of truth?
Oh, tell us about it.
All right, so this is like really important when it comes to buying stuff. And so basically, this is between Google and Procter & Gamble have really came together and created over the years, and it keeps expanding, this framework called the moments of truth. So you have something, it's basically 5 steps, guys. You have number 1, the less than zero moment of truth. That means that you're on your TikTok feed or you're on Instagram and you see somebody using a product and you say, oh, that kind of looks really cool. I wonder what that does, or I wonder if I even need that. And that's just like your first contact with like a potential product that you might be interested in buying. That's the less than zero moment of truth. And so print doesn't necessarily always have a role in the less than zero moment of truth. Then you have the zero moment of truth. And this is like what Google invented. And so this is where Google makes all their money, is you say, okay, I want to buy a boat or I want to buy a car, or I want to buy some sheets or whatever it is. I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to start researching what's the best boat I should buy? What car should I be getting? What are the reviews on this? So you go online, you go onto the reviews, you maybe look at a couple of YouTube videos, you're doing all your research. That's the zero moment of truth. So by the time that you get to the store, or before you actually pull the trigger on buying a product, you feel like you're educated, you understand what brand you're kind of leaning towards, and like 70% of the selling has already been done at this point. That's what Google estimates at the zero moment of truth. And then what happens? Then you're in the store, you're walking down the aisle, and all of a sudden something catches your eye. Something just blings out. Something's like, it catches your eye. That's called the first moment of truth. It's the first time that you actually experience seeing the product. And so what happens is, you pick it up, you look at it, you touch it, you feel it, and you decide whether or not you want to buy it. Just know, if you touch a product in a shelf, just the touching aspect will actually do 2 things. Number 1, your chance of buying that product on an impulse goes up by 62%. So I really want you guys to think about that the next time that you're walking in a store and you pick something up on the shelf. How often do you put it back onto the shelf? And 62% of the time, you actually average will end up buying it. Number 2, if you actually touch a product, in some cases, research has shown that you can actually sell it at a higher price. So, you know, it's two different things that happens. And then finally, you buy the product, you go home and you try the product and you unbox the product, and what goes through your heart and your mind when you open the box and how it feels. You know, the iPhone box, you know, you open it and it's really interesting. And whether or not that product is any good will dictate, number one, do you leave a review? Is the review any good? And number two, do you tell your friends about it? Do you tell your family about it? Do you say, hey guys, you guys should really think about buying this? You know, I love it. And so when you look at these moments of truth in the buying cycle of the psychological nature of humans of buying stuff, print has always been, when it comes to packaging, in that first moment of truth, right? That's really where it's always resided. It's always been in the store. And the big question is, now that people are not really necessarily going into retail environments anymore. I don't know if you guys are using Instacart. I don't know if you guys are using Amazon, but probably chances are most of the stuff that you're buying today, a large part of it comes from an online distributor where you don't have the chance of getting that shelf shout. So what we're seeing is a migration of the need of packaging to not just be shelf shout anymore, being able to catch people's attention as they're walking. It's becoming part of the unboxing experience. How do you feel? You know, taking a videos, you know, you see all these influencers that, you know, show how long the iPhone case takes to open, and how does packaging play into that? So, you know, a lot of things can be done, whether it's, you know, the personalization of packaging, I think is the next big thing that we're going to start seeing, where packages stay on the office or on the mantle, or, you know, because it has my name on it, and like, I don't know, the Johnny Walker logo on the bottle, or the Dior logo and my name. It's how do packages, you know, how can that end up staying longer in front of my customers and my, you know, my potential consumers' eyes. So that's really where we're looking at, is shifting that importance of packaging, of not necessarily being from the shelf, but being part of the unboxing experience, being part of the you know, when you're consuming the product, how does that make you feel? So
when you talk about tactile, are you referring to embellishment? And are you talking about something different than a flat surface print? Or what are you talking about? What is the bling?
Oh, so when I talk about bling, it could be many different things. It could be the kind of substrates that you're using. It could be the kind of laminations that you're using. What kind of flexible packaging material is really getting? Do you want to see the product that's inside? Do you not want to see the product that's inside? How does the product product design make you feel? But you know, when it comes to tactile, the touch aspect of it, is it raised? Is it flat? Is it spot UV? Is it foiled? Is it cold foil? Is it hot foil? There's so many different availabilities out there. And what we're seeing is that right now we're seeing kind of like a tipping point when it comes to digital embellishment technologies. At D-Scoop, I talked to everybody who sold these machines, and they all said the same thing. They're like, I don't know what's going on. I felt like during COVID, everybody sat down and said, you know, this is something I want to do as soon as we start getting out of COVID. So all the manufacturers, I talked to Skodix, I talked to Kurz, I talked to Amatic, I talked to everybody out there, and they're like, something's happening in the market today. And it's not just on the digital side, it's also on the analog side. So I think people, as you know, prices of paper go up, I think there's a new lens being applied to printing, where printing is a premium product now. And I think when you look at digital marketing, it's not a premium product anymore. I mean, everybody's zoomed out, everybody's Facebooked out. I mean, if I'm on my Instagram feed, I'm getting so tired of these ads, I just fly through. I feel that there's a new premiumization that's coming to print and to packaging, and people are going to realize that, you know, if I'm going to print something, I'm going to spend more money to make it super sexy, so I really get the impact and the experience that my customers deserve.
I'm curious to know
I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm curious to know, the people that are online right now, whether they're influenced at all by packaging. What's your story? I mean, when you walk into a store, something that's gold, does it
No.
Do you grab it or not? Or like,
yeah. So online, do you guys do TikTok at all?
No.
All right, you guys all need to get on to start seeing TikTok is the future of where marketing is going, especially in our industry. And so if you look at basically what's happening is brands are paying people to film themselves running out to their mailbox and opening their Amazon package or whatever, and then looking and opening this phenomenal looking box where it has, okay, we sent you a gift box and you're going to have, this bottle of this and a little of this, a little bit of this, and they're going to talk about it and they're going to show everybody, and then boom, they're going to get like 1 million views. So TikTok influencer campaigns are the best thing to ever happen to print. Because the unboxing experience is being focused onto TikTok. And I think right now, almost no manufacturers are really focusing on that right now. And that's where I think the big next thing is going to be. And you know what? Even better, it's getting Gen Z, which let's be honest, we have a massive recruiting issue when it comes to getting Gen Z interested in print. And I think TikTok's the way to do it.
G, what do you think? True? Is G online? I can't see him.
He doesn't believe in generations anyway.
No, he doesn't.
I don't believe in generations as a marketing segment. No. I think it's a very bold claim to say TikTok is the future of our industry. I think it's transient. I think it's something that well, just like all social media channels, it'll find its place, but I don't think personally that it's something which will be the major form of print communication going forward.
What?
Certainly.
I'm sorry. That's a good point. I maybe should clarify my feelings on that. What I meant is for the future, like I was at D-Scoop and they just showed a new stat. So do you guys know Doris Brown McNally? Do you guys kind of know who that is?
Yeah, ex-Pantone, right?
Ex-Pantone, and basically she runs the brand development program for HP. She invented Share a Coke. She invented the Her She campaign and all that. So I had dinner with her. She explained to me really how brands are seeing this next generation. They're saying like this new stat actually, and I took a picture of this. I don't know if you guys those of you that sat through this presentation, it's absolutely mind-boggling. I have the stat right here. It says 26% of baby boomers expect to have personalized print communications to them. 32% of Gen X expect and will be influenced by personalized packaging and print communications. Millennials, it goes to 45%. Gen Z, 53%. And guess what Gen A is ranking in at right now, according to the latest stats?
82%.
70.
70%. 70%. So when I say the future, I'm saying that personalized packaging is going to be a big thing. And I think today the best way to show the impact of personalized packaging, especially to the younger generations, is by visualizing the reactions of these kids that are on YouTube and on TikTok and on social media, and being able to ingrain with them the feeling that, oh my God, this company cares about me. They care about me so much. They sent to me on a recycled paper, and they personalized my name on it, so it's mine. And I know that, I bought this thing and 10% goes towards the charity I like. So I mean, there's a whole set of things that are impacting the future generations and the younger generations, the big buyers that'll be big buyers in the next 10, 15 years. And that's what I meant by the future. It's how do you reach the young people and get them to understand the power of print? Does that make sense, G? Do I talk too much sometimes?
I totally get where you're coming from, Kevin, and I'm not here to rain on your parade and take over.
Rain away!
I have serious reservations in what you've just said.
Good.
Serious reservations. We can take it offline. As I said, I don't want to piss in your cornflakes.
No. Let's do it online so we could all better understand what you're talking about.
I think we should have
it. It's not a
debate.
fight. It's an education lesson.
Exactly. I could be totally wrong, but this is what I'm seeing.
I actually have heard.
G, put him in his place. Let's go.
Put me in my place, G.
Let him have it. Coach's corner.
Or anybody else. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts.
HP is pretty good at their statistics, and I have the same sheet from her. And they've done some market research to find this out. So, G, how do you combat against actual market research that they've done? Do you think it's like skewed a
I
bit.
need to.
Sorry.
Yeah, let's see
one
the market
second.
research.
First of all-
Are you talking to people who are already into print? I mean, let's see what the statistical variance is. Let's see what the what do they call that? The shotgun graphs. The dotted graphs. Let's see where those dots lie. Are they quite evenly distributed? Are there trends that you can extrapolate from that? I'm
First
not
of
going
all,
to say
all of those reports, when they're paid for by the customer, sorry, they're all coming out in the favor of the person paying, right?
That's true.
Right?
But
there's a
some of
strong
them have been
correlation.
true.
Yeah, like
I mean,
said,
every
without
report.
seeing the data, I'm not going to say one thing or the other, but
Okay.
A study funded by a print manufacturer to say something good about print. Okay, well, what a surprise.
Look,
It was about personalization. Yeah.
I've mentioned this many times before. I sell multiple OEM products, and they all claim to be the market leader in some or other dynamic. Absolutely bollocks, a lot of it. Don't believe it.
Don't sit on the fence, Paul. Say
If
what
the
you mean.
report has been paid for by somebody, it's shite.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah, you wouldn't pay for a report that didn't give you the answer you wanted, would you?
So Kevin, these products are all cross-generational. So we buy those same products. So it's not just one prong to one market. I think it's more than one.
No.
I mean, we might go to the local store and buy it because it's got an embellished logo on it. Again, and another person might buy it because it's personalized to them. Another one, they like the unboxing experience. Is it not
Sure.
a multi-pronged marketing approach?
It always going to be multi-pronged. There's no such thing as a one-pronged marketing approach, and if that's really your strategy, you're probably going to be lost. You're going to be lost pretty quickly. But I think the conversation that we could be having, nobody's talking about this yet. You have companies like Meta, which own Facebook and Instagram, who are aiming a $1 trillion market cap industry that has basically made all their money on hacking the brainstem, and basically that's the whole thing. You guys should see The Social Dilemma if you haven't seen, to give you an understanding of how well they know who we are psychologically. What is print's role in the metaverse? So right now they're trying to make this universe where we're going to be wearing the next Apple iPhones they're working on now are going to be glasses, AR glasses. You have Oculus that is also owned by Meta, where you can have virtual meetings that track your eye contact, so that you can actually have meetings and look at people in the eye. And they're using spatial audio so that you can whisper to somebody who's right next to you, and they're only going to hear in their left ear, and nobody else at the table that is going to be hearing it. So I mean, there's a lot of money being spent to shifting basically the world into. I don't know if you guys ever read or seen the movie Ready Player One. But it's kind of what's happening right now. There's a lot of money being aimed at this universe that's built on the blockchain. The question is, how is print relevant, and how do we make print relevant into this metaverse? So you talked about selling online digital embellishment, Rob. Are you guys following any of this stuff? Like people are selling real estate in the metaverse.
Absolutely.
People are selling lots of land. So imagine you put on your glasses and you walk down this virtual store or this virtual street, and you see, okay, there's the grocery store. I'm just going to go in and do my shopping. Do my shelves look the same? Are my shelves going to have embellishment on it virtually? And I put it in, and I put it in my virtual cart, and they ship it to me, and it's here in the next couple of hours. So, the question is, how is print going to adapt to the metaverse? I think that's a fascinating question. And I think a lot of it is going to have to do with haptics. So now there's a company in Canada, believe it or not, who's building scent. So we talk about the power of, sensorial marketing, and that's really what I'm doing, where there's a scent connector that will connect to your headset. And if you're out cutting your grass, you're virtually cutting your grass, you will smell the grass being cut. If you're at a restaurant or a virtual whatever, and you want to smell what something smells like, they're actually mixing scents live. Or imagine you're watching a movie, and it's a war movie, Saving Private Ryan. You could smell the gunpowder. So I mean,
and the popcorn.
So the ability to make to play on the senses from a marketing standpoint is going to be very important. I think print has a very definite role to play into it, and I'm interested to see what everybody else on this call thinks about what is the role of print in this metaverse, and whether or not the metaverse is real or it's all bullshit.
Well, we're all experts in NFTs here on the Crown Pub. We had a session the other week where a guy came on and explained what he did with it, and we put him right and told him how to integrate print into that, which was fine.
And how old was he?
He was about 12, I think. One question for you, Kevin. Where's this haptic thing going? I mean, when I think of the word haptic, I think when I push on my iPhone, I can feel it buzz, or I feel it change in some way because I've touched it. Are we going to get to that point with the kind of sensory stuff where you pick up a package off the shelf and not only do you feel it, but it changes or responds to you or something like that?
So that's called haptic feedback. So there's haptics, which means the power of touch, the science of touch, what happens when you touch. And then haptic feedback is like playing, Xbox, and then getting your controller to rumble when you shoot your gun in the game. So
yeah, I want that in my packaging.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, I don't know what the applications could be or should be, but some of the haptic and sensorial marketing that's being done is.
What the hell are you buying, Mark, that you want to react when you?
I don't want to go there.
I'm so messed.
Where are you?
I don't know. What do I mean, Paul? My mind's blank. Can you think of anything?
So funny. But like, for example, right now a lot of people are doing work into inks that light up, inks that can act as a solar receptor. So basically the lights coming off your light bulb can power these batteries because the inks are acting as photovoltaic cells. So photovoltaic inks being able to charge packages so that when you walk by, they're lighting up, getting your attention. That could be a potential applications. So it's not just about touch. Remember, you got 4 other senses that you got to be able to play on in order to get people involved. And I think that's going to be a really important part of it. So imagine a really cool package. Imagine a Coke bottle that I could just leave here and it lights up, or something like that. That those are the potential. For sensorial marketing in the print industry is using printing and electronics and advanced material science to be able to create fantastic next generation products. Well, look how far packaging has come already. Imagine what it's going to look like 10, 15 years from now with all the technology that's being developed.
Kevin, you see the electronics? Go ahead.
Sorry, Kevin, can I ask? I mean, you're talking about the metaverse, which isn't the metaverse the polar opposite to what you do? You're talking about embellishment, finishing, and how it could be more tactile, tactful. When you're talking about the metaverse, we already have a virtual trade show, and it's kind of taking people away from the fact that the print shows you get print material. So it's the two polar opposites, are they not?
It totally is, but that's why I was saying it's the polar opposites if you're looking at print and at packaging in that still first moment of truth lens. If you look at print and packaging, imagine tomorrow there are no more stores, Kelvin. Imagine everything is virtual. When you buy something and that shows up to your house and your only interaction with that brand is opening that box, feeling that box, seeing how it feels and how it opens and the presentation. Look at Apple. Like I just got a new iPhone. And just that unboxing experience is fantastic. People have made millions of videos on it online, but the idea to be able to share that reaction, the reaction of opening the box is now part of the brand experience, Kelvin. And what I'm saying is we can keep trying to put a square peg in a round hole. I could be totally wrong about this, obviously, but the way that it's headed is, I'm doing more and more of my shopping online. My wife is doing the same thing. My parents, who are an older generation, are doing it. I'm sure a lot of you are doing most of your shopping online. So the question is, do we go back to how it was before, or do we adapt our model to create experiences, haptic experiences that touch the brain, that touch the heart when you get that product, so that, sometimes that could be more valuable than the actual product that you're selling.
So what tools do you have to reconcile the product that's on the shelf that you're going to see in the store and the one you're ordering online? How do you know you're going to get the right representation? You're going to order a car, you're going to get a blue one instead of a green one because you colorblind or whatever,
Oh, the tools are being developed on a daily basis. I think right now we kind of see, like for me, my personal favorites is I see so many different tools around. All right, how many of you guys are printers here? Any printers? Raise your hand. Okay, so we got some printers. When you sit down with a potential client and you want to show them a prototype, what does that prototype look like? Is it usually a PDF, a soft proof? Do you mock it up for them? What if you're able to just take the PDF, throw it into a program, and then boom, it spits out a AR link where you just text it to your customer, and now suddenly he can take his phone out and look at the package on the box on the actual, on the desk, or on how does it look on the shelf, being able to visualize it right now through a phone, soon through the Apple glasses that they're developing with the augmented reality. I think these are some tools that will be very, very helpful. AR is going to be a phenomenal sales tool for print, because people can immediately understand what they're looking at. And as the quality of AR keeps going up, so will the application. So just watch the AR space in a prototyping sense, in a sales sense. IKEA has been doing it for years, but I think it's going to get more and more used as the technology develops.
Is there a connection at all between the package, the embellishment on the package, and the retention or the shelf life or the longevity in the consumer's hands? Like, would something sit in a position where you'd see it every day more often if it was embellished than if it was sent to the recycle bin because it wasn't?
Depends. So that depends. I don't think that if it's just a standard package, I don't think it's going to last that long. I think a standard package will be a nice experience. What I have seen though is, imagine, Joanne, it's your birthday. I want to get you a birthday present. I send you a Dior gift box, and you open that gift box and there's the Dior logo on it and there's your name embossed in gold. What do you do with the box? Do you throw it away or do you keep it?
I have a water bottle with a stupid Coach label on it from when I bought my first Coach wallet, and it's somewhere in my office on a shelf. Like, I just kept it because it's a stupid water bottle with a label, but it's a memory of my first purchase of Coach.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean. So being able to create that link with consumers is the goal of every major brand, is to create that heartstring connection. And I think if people are able to use digital embellishment to take that to the next level, instead of just printing your name, embossing your name in gold foil on a box, I think that that box will definitely not only outlive the products that are inside, because when you're done with the creams or the perfume or whatever, you're going to throw those out. But I think it's more valuable to the brand to have something that somebody's going to repurpose and looking at that Dior logo on a daily basis, instead of just throwing the package out. So in some cases, no. In some cases, extremely yes, and more valuable in some cases than the actual products that they're being sold. So I'm seeing like stuff on Instagram right now, on TikTok, where these high-end influencers, these major sports and athletes are getting these personalized shoe boxes from like Nike that have their name and their number and gold boxes, and those things get a lot of views. And there's a good reaction to personalized embossed digital embellishments, and I think that's a space to be watching, is the personalized packaging space, for sure.
Well, clothing and shoes, you hit it, are doing it. You can customize your own Air Jordans, Converse, like any brand. You can go online, and they're really smart when you can choose the stitching, you can monogram it, anything you want. So it makes sense that you're going to all that effort. If you, let's extend what you were saying, you're buying a gift for somebody, or you're buying something for yourself, and you're taking the time to customize it the way you want it. Every little detail is exactly the way you want it. You want it to come in a box that represents, or in a package that represents the time you took, the perceived value, whether it's $50 or $5,000. You spent your time, and you want to be rewarded for that. And that keepsake box, or whatever it is that it comes in, is that sort of validation that your time was well spent because it comes in this great box, not this like brown paper bag.
And Joanne, just to on that, so I don't know if you guys have been following Nike because you brought Nike up, but if you want to buy a pair of Nikes, where do you go? Can you go to like Foot Locker or to Macy's? No, Nike is actually pulling out of retail, and they're doing what's called a DTC experiment, so direct to consumer. So the only way that you'll be able to buy Nikes soon is through their app, where they know who you are. They know, okay, you're buying running shoes. Do you have the running app on your watch? Okay, you've run 600 miles. It's time to change your running shoe. All these kinds of things. Like seriously, Nike sends me a message whenever it's time to change my running shoes because they say, okay, now your mileage is getting to a point where now you need to change over. So creating personalized experiences, skipping over the distributor is now something that Nike is doing, and just watch a lot of other people's are going to be following suit. So they're selling shoes online. Imagine, shoes, usually I used to have to go into the store and put them on and walk around a little bit and say, okay, yeah, these are comfortable. Yeah, I'll buy these. So soon that's going to be an experience of the past based on.
I just think all of the personalization and all of the special sewing and everything else just screams to me top budget. A lot of people that we deal with don't have those budgets, and I think without a lot of technology being put into those processes, it's not going to be in the near future.
It's a good question. Kevin, maybe you could explain how someone like a small-time retailer or a small-time business would enter into doing something extra special with their product at an affordable rate.
Well, okay, so first of all, it's easier to sell online than to find distributors and have to negotiate shelf space. Most people today are selling through Shopify, through Etsy. It's already being done online. So number one, that's easy to do. Most creators today, especially the small companies, are selling online as their main way to make money. Now, where the advantages is that traditionally, if you've wanted a top-end package, you've always had to spend a lot of money. If you want to do embossed foil, embossed varnish, you had to get dies made, plates made, you had to get all this stuff made, which means only really the high-end companies or the luxury companies were investing in these kinds of processes, because the analog technology would not allow for small creators to affordably make high-end packaging. I think the advent of digital finishing, whether it's digital printing, digital finishing, shorter runs, digital embellishment, digital die cutting now with people like Hycon and the laser cutting. Today, there is no excuse to not be able to give a premium type package, even if you are a small, medium customer, because the technology has adapted itself to cater to the market. So, I mean, using digital technology, I don't need to print 1 million boxes. I need to print 100 boxes. I need to print 1,000 boxes, and I could do it affordably using digital embellishment, where in the past that would have never really been even an option. So I think that's what I'm seeing, like soap companies, cannabis companies, everything across the board, anything you could think of from the biggest to the smallest, but especially in the smallest, craft beers, craft alcohol, small runs, wines, these types of markets, we're seeing them embrace the technology and getting more of a return on their investment, because number one, the investment's not as high, but number two, they're selling more. I mean, embellishments will help you sell more in the retail space because they will catch your attention. Most people who don't know the first thing about wine, how do they pick the wine when they're going over to somebody's house for dinner? Chances are it's, oh, this is a nice looking label. Yes.
Can I ask a question on behalf of one of our regular drinkers, Paul Sherfield, who wanted to be here, but I know he couldn't. Yeah. But he was asking about the effect of embellishment on sustainability, recycling, because embellishments have got a bad name in that department, haven't they?
Yeah. No, and I think it's an ongoing thing. I know that the different companies. I know that Skodix just got the Nestle approval for the sustainability. I know MGI has gotten through the INGED 11 testing in Germany, and I know that foil metallization. There's some great white papers. If you want, I could send them out, or I'll post them, that have been made on the proper way to recycle foil. But I think it is the number one issue now that when people are talking to brands is how do I discuss that the environmental sustainability aspect of digital embellishment, and I think that's a very valid point. But I know that everybody's working very hard on it and already have passed certain gates from a technology standpoint.
Yeah, if you could
So
give some
remember when I
links
held
to
this up and I
give
did
some links to
this?
Kelvin. That'd be good.
Remember when I did this and I held this up and everyone was like, "Oh wow, cool."
Yep.
You're not touching this.
Right.
No.
You're seeing it. You're seeing it shiny and whatever. So you can do some. Sorry to. I mean, again, it's not about.
Well, we're not touching it, but you are.
No, I get that, but you can
It has
still
to, it
get a
has to move.
sense of.
It has to move around to show the effect.
A wobbler.
So you really, someone has to touch it.
You're a wobbler, John.
You know, if we go
Apparently.
back to the,
Why I got a glass of wine on my shirt.
if we go back to what's in it for printers, and I think there's a tremendous opportunity for printers, because what you said, Kevin, about short run and digital has always produced the opportunity for short run. And if you can do an affordable embellishment that value adds your product, and now we're dealing with a direct to consumer market online,
Exactly.
you can service that market. So it's a
Exactly.
new market. And
Exactly.
so, and it's possible, right? So it's an opportunity for printers to go into short run, whether it's embellishment or die cutting or box
Right.
printing, whatever, with their devices. I think it's an opportunity in print.
Well, Rob, I don't know. You guys been following this great resignation stuff? Everybody's quitting their corporate jobs and starting their own small business. Like small businesses are just blowing up all over the place. And I think this is why there's a tipping point in digital print and finishing technologies right now. Everybody's clamoring for short run packaging because people are now creating businesses out of their garages and selling t-shirts or whatever it might be, but don't necessarily have the money to spend on high-end packaging. So I mean, it's really interesting space to watch, and I think COVID's accelerated the creation of these smaller companies that are selling online.
Well, the prediction is 3 to 5% CAGR for both labels and packaging. So there's a reason for that, and that comes from some pretty reputable market research people in the States.
Yeah.
So how can we get this technology into the mainstream? Because we're talking about personalization, you know,
Great
items of
question.
one, so ever, and the amount of packaging produced digitally is still tiny. You know, the volumes are supposed to be 20% by now. At least 20 years ago we said that, and it's still 3 or 4%. What's
Sure.
going to break through to make it happen?
So are you talking
Hang
about
on,
digital?
You don't want it mainstream, not yet. Leave that.
I
for the
do.
people
I want
that-
to sell
No, you
lots of
don't.
things.
Of course, jet
No.
press.
If you're selling it, you don't want it mainstream. Sell fewer of them for more money. So
Okay.
everybody else catches on, it becomes commoditized, and then it's a race to the bottom.
But that's what we're doing for now. We're saying it's printing less for more money because that's all we can achieve. Why can't we print more for more money?
Okay, so that what you guys are hitting on is like a big part of
Why
what I'm
work
doing now.
harder? Work less, make more money. No, don't work too hard. You're getting old, Mark. You can't be working too hard. Take time out.
Hot kettle.
So guys, you guys are bringing up some beautiful points, and I think I started this when I was at MGI. Was every time we sold a machine, I would sit down with the customer. Do I have any of my old customers on this call? No. I would do sales trainings with their salespeople, and the idea was to train the sales to understand how to do a value sell, and not to shoot yourself in the foot and repeat the same issues we did with CMYK print. The issues that we were running into is, for example, when it comes to digital embellishment, it's not a cost plus model when you're selling it to the brands. It's not, okay, it's going to cost me 5 cents, so I'm going to sell it for 10 cents. That's not the model that you do. It's, okay, this market bearable, this usually will sell for 60 cents, so I'm going to sell it at 58 cents or 60 cents, even though it's only costing me 5 cents now to create. So selling this technology responsibly from all the different manufacturers, whether it's Skodix, MGI, Kurz, Steinemann, everybody else, I think comes a fundamental responsibility to teach the people how to be successful with that product and how to price it accordingly to what the market can bear, so that we can try to at least mitigate the commoditization. Eventually, it's going to be commoditized. There's nothing you can do about that. I like what you guys are saying about having to push that back more and more. But as the mainstreaming is happening, and right now we're kind of what we're seeing, and based on my conversations with a lot of the manufacturers at D-Scoop, we're seeing a big rise, and we're going from that early adopter to early majority. And I think that's right now where we are, is between those two segments, where all of a sudden, you know, as more and more brands are educated on it. Actually, I did a study. I actually did a really cool study. I interviewed like 50 different digital embellishment users in North America in January, just to get an idea of what the trends were. 50% of them said their biggest sales obstacle was brand education, brand and agency education. So I think we still have a long way to go. Agencies don't know what digital embellishment is necessarily. Brands definitely are behind the 8 ball. I think that's something that's happening. The education is ongoing. I think some of the brands have gotten it, some of the brands haven't. But I think overall, one of the most exciting stats that came out of this study, and it's not biased because I'm just telling you, I haven't even really published it yet, but the study said that like 41% of printers were optimistic about the future of their print business. And the same people that said 41% were optimistic, when we asked them, what about specifically your digital embellishment capabilities, whether it's varnish, foil, die cutting, the digital die cutting, they said it went to 90% were positive about that aspect of their business. So what we're seeing is that people who have invested in this technology, who have all kind of thrown a lot of different things at the wall, understood how to price it, how to make money with it, understand that this is going to be one of obviously many different technologies, but one of the technologies that they're very hopeful for regarding where they think the future of their business is going. So again, we'll see what happens, but there is a tipping point towards that. And as long as we could keep teaching these salespeople, it's not about price. It's not sheets per hour. It's not price per thousand. That's not how you sell this stuff. I think we can try to mitigate those risks, but I love where you guys are thinking, because that's obviously where the issues will lie in the future.
Kevin, I think it is all about education, and we talked about this at D-Scoop, and the biggest hurdle that I see, or the challenge as an industry as a whole, is when the printers purchase their software and their hardware, they sell it the way it was sold to them. They don't know how to sell it to the end user. And I blame the software and hardware companies for that. It is our responsibility, and I'm not a software hardware vendor, but I just represent a lot of them, to educate the buyers on how to sell for ROI. And it's not the way it was sold to them. And this is perpetuated for decades, but we're at that tipping point now, where if we really want the new generation, whether it's Alpha, Z, Millennial, whatever generation, they don't care what equipment it is. They don't call it embellishment. They don't know what it is. They just see something that they like, that they want to pick up and touch. So we have to make it easy for the PSPs to be able to convince the brands that this is why they need this solution.
So this is the problem. The problem is the owners of some of these PSBs, because they want to bring in technology, embellishment, software. They have morons in the company that they've never replaced. So they keep buying new, latest and greatest with the same morons sitting there. They come up with these great marketing campaigns where they spend big money with agencies. And the missing link is the salespeople don't follow up. And then they wonder why that they're failing. It's the same thing with the new equipment. It's the same thing with everything. The one thing I noticed at D-Scoop, because it's been my first time in 2 years since my company has been deceased, I wasn't there as a printer to be sold. I was just there watching how they're selling the printers. And, when I think back, every time I bought a piece of equipment, I got excited. And when I got excited about what I was buying and the grandness of it, the metal, the digital, the UV, the whatever it is, I didn't hear one thing else about the equipment. how good. I didn't think about the people I needed to train. I just was buying equipment and getting really excited. And that's a problem today. We as printers, I don't think, know how to not have that excitement. And before we get excited, have to look at what we plan to do with it and who's going to do it within the company. I had some great salespeople, or so I thought they were great, who hurrah, 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 always said everything right at the meeting, and then never fucking went out and did a goddamn thing. Always had an excuse.
You know, having been a reseller,
Jamie, that's the problem. The owner could bring in everything, but if the owner doesn't train the people, teach the people, set his expectations, and then you have to have real expectations of what your people are capable of first.
Warren, we had this conversation yesterday.
We're all
done. And then what happens when it goes south?
I think you are both 100% correct, because I was a reseller of the MGI equipment to your customers, to you in particular, Warren, and the success rate was definitely corresponded with the amount of education that was given to the customer on how to sell it. But that didn't always even work. The most successful customer we had was one that had figured it out before we even put the equipment on the floor, and that was Print Panther.
You know what? It's perfect. We're talking MGI because, Kevin, you know the person. I had a person working for me for 9 years who then switched over to the equipment side, was working with Konica Minolta. Great person, loved her to death. She calls me up one day and she wants to sell me an MGI machine for embellishments. And I said to her point blank, I said, what am I going to do with this? It's $400,000. And she's trying to convince me that when you have it, they will come. And I said to her, if you're so convinced that they will come, put it in. And when they come, I'll pay you.
Nice.
So that's a good point. And I think one of the things that we've always tried to do is leverage people who already had the technology to do outsourcing to, until you can actually prove to yourself and to your numbers that it made sense to bring it in-house. So that's one of the strategies that we've always done, is that the first installations would act as an outsourcer. So it'd give other printers the chance to play with it, to send out some jobs, see, can I make money with it? Okay, I only made 40 points with this job, but if I had it in-house, I would have made 80 points. All right, let's see how that looks if I get this many jobs. The question is, outsourcing it until you feel that you've built a good enough market is definitely a recommended strategy that I would say. But that being said, you have some crazy people who have that if you build it, they will come mentality. These are people who are in the very, very early innovation stage. These are people who always have the latest gadgets. It's a mentality to be the first.
And money in the bank.
High risk.
Yeah, but you know the guys, they're always like, oh, I was the first HP here, or I was the first Xerox, I was the first. They like to say that phrase. We've all run into those people. And those people will take those risks. I think it depends on the mindset of the owners. But there's different strategies for whatever your risk assessment matrix looks like, and what your future plans for your company are. So either outsource it until it makes sense, or buy it, build it, and they will come if you have the money to be able to support that kind of a gamble.
The mentality today of buy it, build it, and they will come. You cannot be you can't be a print company buying equipment in every category doing that, because you will fail. I've done it three times, and
you have to have a plan.
It was pretty close. The idea of outsourcing, I think, is unbelievable. You team up with someone who has it. They need you as a customer. And this is the biggest thing with all this technology. MGI, KBA, Xerox, no one has ever been able to tell me how much money I'm going to need to spend to figure out all this shit that they're showing me. And that money is big cash. On the KBA, it was to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. On the iGen, I could probably tell you the same thing, because when it didn't work, I had to farm out the work to get it done, and Xerox didn't pay me back. But on all that equipment, the cost of learning, even with software, is huge. And I'd like to know someone to do a study on the stats of how many people have failed and haven't been able to pull their companies back after because they went too deep in it,
I think that's with every technology. You have some manufacturers that oversell, and the math is not, you have to be careful, because if you oversell your equipment into a print shop and you take that print shop down, then you're known as the guy that takes print shops down. So obviously I think responsible selling is important, but unfortunately I know that everybody's only as good as their last quarter. So there's always that pressure as well. So it's a very difficult line from a manufacturer standpoint. But I think that if you look at the global market, the outsourcing model, what does it do, Warren? Number one, you win as a manufacturer because you're selling more varnish because people are outsourcing. Your customer wins because he's getting more work. Your prospect wins because he's out there selling this stuff. And the market wins because the more that he sells this stuff, the more the market gets educated. The more the market gets educated, the more the demand rises. So, I mean, it's a win-win-win-win-win-win strategy.
And by the way, if you're smart in your outsourcing and you get really busy with it, the truth is your supplier will bend over backwards to work closer and tighter with you, because if he knows you're going to buy a piece of equipment, he now can't afford to lose the volume that you've brought him.
Right.
All it takes really is for two people to be honest with each other, share the appreciation of how they need each other, and just come to some terms that work. Because when you have that machine, you need another employee. As a person who had 120 employees, I don't want another employee ever, let alone bring someone in to teach them on a machine that's brand new that you're going to lose money every day until you figure it out. Ugh.
Kevin, what's the average percentage of a job, the value add to the job you can put on due to better finishing, like that magazine Joanne held up? Is there an average percentage where good embellishment adds value to the cost of that job, where you can make more margin?
I think anytime that you're going to do that, you're going to add margin to it. So it's literally putting embellishment on a piece of paper is like a syringe of profitability that you just literally, because right now, remember, there's not a million of these machines out there, right? There's not one on every single corner. So there's still a lot of margin in this kind of work. A lot of margin in this kind of work. I'm sorry?
400%.
Right. So there's a lot of margin in this kind of work, and obviously it depends on the applications. Most of our customers, when I was out there selling, and most of my customers today that I'm doing consulting, because I'm working with a lot of printers today. That's kind of one of the things that I do is people who have just bought an MGI or a Scodix or a Duplo or whatever. I'm out there helping them be successful with this and how to price it, what verticals to go after. And really how to make money with it. That's a big part of what we're doing at Tactiful now. And I think one of the key things is it's gonna, as a sales tool, sometimes they do it for free, Kelvin. They'll do 1 or 2 sheets for free and put that on top of the rest of the job and say, by the way, next time your job can look like this. And that's a great way to sell it.
I have some data that's put together as a result of a market study, darling. That talks about the levels of resale value of a piece of paper once it's been personalised or embellished. If anybody wants that, DM me your email address and I'll send it. I would add a caveat that it is information provided or created by Xerox, and they were actually paying for the report just before launching the new index. Now, whether there's any connection in that and the fact that you're going to be a millionaire tomorrow, I don't know. But I'll still send it to you if you DM me your email.
Is that a slot machine?
He's in a pub. Listen, Paul, why don't we post that on the pub group or get people's emails and then send it if you want to keep it discreet? We can do that. Kevin, once again, you've been amazing. Rob, thanks for taking the lead today. Everyone, we've come to the half hour. We've gone through an hour really quickly. This is a subject I know nothing about, so I couldn't do the Q&As, but I think I've learned quite a bit. But Kevin, what we'll do is we'll post the details in the pub group on the chat on LinkedIn, just so if anybody wants to get in contact with you. Everybody, it's we're just over 2 years old. We started this to make sure that everybody was okay in an uncertain world. The world just gets shitter, doesn't it? It is not a great place to be at the moment. But we're still meeting every Thursday, 3:30. We're back next week. Elizabeth and G are taking the helm. That is going to be interesting.
What's the topic?
On a Thursday afternoon.
The topic.
Life ain't that bad, believe me. It's okay.
Where's my beer?
Yeah.
The topic is Elizabeth's favourite drinks in the pub.
That is a worthwhile topic on its own.
I don't know if we can fit it in an hour.
Soft drinks.
Take notes.
Today we've got people from 3 continents. We've got North America, South Africa, and Africa, and Europe, and hopefully we'll have some more people next week. But keep following us on LinkedIn. I'll push out the information about next week, and look forward to seeing you all then. Everyone, take care. Be safe.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Good
Great
job.
to see you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, guys.
Bye.
Ciao, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
I know.
So if you stayed on there,